published author. This is her first book, A Letter from Santa for Kids Who Have Doubts, Mary Kay O'Neill. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
And Mary is one of the Jackson O'Neills, and you went off to fame and fortune in Ypsilanti.
Well, via some other cities in there, but yes, happily settled in Ypsilanti for the last 20 years.
Nice. Well, glad to have you back today. And we invited you here because we got word that your first book is now published. How did the book come about?
So it started with a call from my daughter in Boston, who was perplexed because her daughter was starting to have some doubts about Santa, and she sensed that May, my granddaughter, didn't even want to talk to her mother about it because she thought, well, my mom might be upset when she finds out. I might not believe. So my daughter asked me, what do I do? I really didn't remember what I did with the kids. I didn't know. So I said, let me think about it, went to bed. And as I was drifting off, I'm telling you, Santa appeared to me. Well, that might be a little artistic stretch. But it came to me that what May needed was a letter from Santa to explain that he's real. He's not made up. It's not like Superman or the Easter Bunny, completely fictional characters. And it's not like, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa, because everybody has good feelings, therefore there's a Santa. Mm-hmm. He was a real person. And I wanted to start with that.
Is a real person.
He is a real person.
He's a real person, and my kids, they're 30 and in their 40s. They still believe in Santa, and I still do. And I think a lot of kids get to that age where they maybe start hearing things at school, but they don't want to say anything to mom and dad because they're afraid that as soon as they say something, maybe Santa will disappear.
Oh, that is one reason. And then I think my daughter was actually worried her mother would cry. But so this is a way to bridge that, because it's not like telling him there isn't an Easter Bunny. So it starts out with Santa. Well, he's writing the letter and explains, I was a child just like you. My life was as normal can be. I got in trouble. I did thumb wars at church. And so I try to flesh them out a little. I also use some stories that are there historically about Nicholas, St. Nicholas. And so the miracle actually starts when he's a child. His parents ask him to share some toys with this poor family, and he has a really difficult time doing it. And I won't read from it, but there's a page where it starts to come around that he watches the kids play with his toy, his favorite toy camel that he decided that was the one to part with, and he looks at their eyes, and he sees how happy they are, and he feels like there's joy, and he's like, suddenly it wasn't so hard to give him that toy camel. Suddenly, the joy that they were having, I was having too. And it wasn't, it didn't happen all at once, but that was the start of the miracle, where he realized that giving and making other people joyful were just as wonderful as receiving.
Does your book answer all the questions? Here's one.
Okay.
I'm troubled with, Mary. If the sleigh has to land on a roof with snow, what happens when there's no snow?
Okay, so this is where the book is a little bit, it can be a little bit, I don't want to say controversial because it's a book about Santa. However, it has become a little bit this, because I don't continue the myth of the sleigh and the elves and the rain. It takes the turn that, well, as Nicholas grows up, he becomes a priest. Well, his favorite thing as a priest is to celebrate Christmas, and he comes up with the idea to do a birthday party for all the children in the town. A birthday party for Jesus, invite all the children in the town and make sure they all get treats and favors and gifts. And it's a lot of work, so he has a lot of helpers. So the transition in this isn't, okay, there really is a Santa and now it's a miracle, he has a sleigh. The transition is this, and this is Santa dies. He's quite surprised. He goes to meet God, and God says, wow, I love what you did with my son's birthday, and I want you to do it all over the world now. And Nicholas is like, it was a lot of work just to do it in Myra, the town where he was a bishop. How am I going to do it now? He's like, oh, you started the miracle, but I'm going to make it grow.
Ah,
And the answer is, just like he had helpers as a priest on earth, now he has helpers all the way around the world.
so it's a miracle.
And we are all part of Santa's miracle. I mean, if you're religious, it's a little like the saint thing, right? Jude's got the helpless, and the Anthony finds things. St. Nicholas is the spirit of generosity. And if you're not religious, you know, Gandhi,
What-
Lincoln, they
what-
just inspire
Yeah.
people.
So what age would this be? So this would this be a book that people would read to their kids, or is it for kids?
It really is meant for kids who have doubts. So I would say some kids starting at 10, some kids at 14. I've read it to 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds, and they don't get the real meaning at the end. But here's why I said controversial. I've read it to an 11-year-old who just burst into tears because she got the whole thing.
No.
She's like, oh, it is my mom and dad. But it's Santa, but it's my mom and dad. So you kind of, I advise parents that have kids to think about it.
Parents should read it first to see if it's appropriate. It might not be appropriate this year, but maybe in a year.
It will be
Another
the
year.
answer when they're
Yeah.
ready.
So, Mary, you've got a sister that's principal here in Jackson at
I sure do.
St. Mary's.
Nancy O'Neill.
Nancy O'Neill. So, I wonder, are you going to go read this to any of her students?
So we talked about it last year, and the answer, because of the variation in the 5th and 6th grade class, we're sending a copy home with parents with a letter that they should read it, and when it seems like it's the right time, they can read it to their children.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I thought it was the perfect solution.
So this first year, it's been available, just published, right?
On Amazon, and there is one trick. If you want to order it on Amazon, you have to type in the whole title, A Letter from Santa for Kids Who Have Doubts.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm 18 screens
Tons of
down. Yeah.
All right, and you can get it now. Well, great to see you. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
in.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. The author of A Letter from Santa for Kids Who Have Doubts, Jackson native Mary Kay O'Neill. We're almost